Why does a narcissist cheat on you when the marriage is great? Maybe the relationship or the marriage that's happening is something that is going really well, or seems to be they might be getting a lot of things out of it. So why would there be any difference now? Why would they actually go about this and cheat when you gave them everything that they ever wanted? If you guys are new here, my name is Ben Taylor. I'm a self-aware narcissist on this channel to provide awareness, growth, healing, and change in terms of narcissism and helping people break free from the toxicity that they've been stuck in. I'm the founder of Raw Motivations, the creator of the NARC app, and your guide in the 45-day Clarity Challenge that you can access at claritychallenge.net. If you like what you hear here, subscribe, hit the notification so you can find out more information whenever dropping information about narcissism, narcissistic abuse, some of my story in narcissism, all different aspects like that. Today, we're going to be diving into the aspect of narcissists and cheating, of why they do that, and why when things are functioning so well, they seem to just burn everything down. Why it seems like things are going really good in a marriage or in a relationship, and it's like, don't care, and they move on. Well, I want to be able to explain why all narcissists cheat, and why when it seems like everything's okay, that's when stuff falls apart. Well, oftentimes people hate it when I say all narcissists cheat. And the reason why I say all narcissists cheat is because as we look at, first off, society as a whole, we're built on a society of a lot of lies. There's a lot of lies that happen in every single aspect of life as we know it. In politics, in sales, in business, in friendships, in families, in relationships. A lot of what we have lived on and believed in for such a long period of time is based on lies. And that's the same thing that's happening in a narcissistic relationship, is a lot of lies. It's the avoidance of truth. It's the avoidance of shame, which ultimately brings out a lot of lies. Well, when you look at a cheater definition, if you just Google cheater, what comes up is a person who acts dishonestly in order to gain an advantage. Basically, sounds like a narcissist. A person who is acting in a dishonest way, who is acting a certain way to gain an advantage over another person. As a narcissist, one of the goals is to have control over you, not just to have control over you, but to control the narrative about who I am, about what I'm doing, and about how I'm hurting other people. So as a narcissist, the mask is more important than the person underneath. Controlling another person to believe the mask is more important than just controlling for control's sake. But oftentimes people get confused with this and they start to think, well, my narcissist, they didn't actually cheat. They didn't do this. Well, they acted in a certain way to gain advantage over you in order to get what they wanted. And that's the crux of some of this. So when I say all narcissists cheat, I mean it. And I stick with that because it goes back to even the diagnosis and even the aspect of what NPD actually is. So whether they're acting as a full-blown narcissist or whether they're acting by the diagnosis or by someone with traits, if someone's acting this way, where they're acting dishonestly in order to gain an advantage, they're a cheater. Well, cheating happens in all types of marriages. And when we talk about this aspect of why did they cheat? Because the marriage was great. It was a really good relationship. The thing you have to wonder is was it actually great? Were there actually other things that were going on in the relationship that made it not be as great as what you thought it might have been? You see, oftentimes a narcissist wants to make you think that it's a great relationship, but it might not be. It might be something that you're thinking you're really connected, you're really invested in. That's something that the narcissist has spent that time and energy to create that facade in your mind, but in reality, it's not that way at all. Oftentimes when we're talking about a great marriage or something that's there, oftentimes it's not built on honesty. We find this across the board in lots of marriages, in lots of relationships, not just narcissistic ones, but in people in general that don't come to the table bringing their full self, that don't come to the table saying this is actually what's going on. When you're dealing with a narcissist, that's level 1, you need to lie. You lie just about everything to avoid that shame and to avoid that accountability and to avoid that responsibility. But sometimes when people are in this spot, they're like confused and questioning themselves, like, wait a second, like if I'm having a great marriage with a narcissist, as far as like I'm giving them stuff. So a lot of times the term would be like I'm giving them good supply, like I'm giving them attention, I'm providing a place for them, I'm paying all the bills, I'm giving them all the sex they want, they have all the money, they have status, they have attention. Why would they actually just go out and cheat when I'm doing all of this for them? If I'm in the ideal situation, this is what people are thinking. Like if I'm in the ideal situation, why would they do this? Well, I want to talk about like 4 different things that sometimes would be a factor into why a narcissist would go ahead and cheat. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, it's not just narcissists. In this aspect, you could have anybody who might have some of these reasons of being like, I'm going to do this so I can get out of the marriage, so I can get out of the relationship, so I can go do whatever I want. Whatever it might be, we're going to talk about 4 different things. The first one is the aspect of boredom. Sometimes you'll have somebody who gets tired of the norm, who gets tired of the things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. And because they're not willing to be honest about what's going on, they're like, I'm bored. I'm going to go do what I want. I'm bored because I've already accomplished this. A lot of times you'll have this from a narcissistic standpoint where a narcissist is going after a person and trying to chase them, and they get addicted to the chase piece. Addicted to let me woo, let me grab someone, let me get someone to be with, let me have sex with them, whatever it might be. Let me chase them and grab them and get them. But then when they get them, they're like, now I don't know what to do. Because at that point, they haven't invested anything in the other person. They haven't invested anything in developing that relationship. It's all been about the chase. But once they have that person, once that person is in their life, then it's like, I don't know what to do. So oftentimes they'll revert to boredom. Boredom is a great way to be able to destroy a lot of things. Maybe you've had a time where one of your kids have been bored and all of a sudden you realize, hey, they were bored a little bit too long, and you come home or you walk into their playroom and it's absolutely destroyed because they didn't know what to do. They got so bored, they like ripped things apart. You're like, wait a second, what's actually going on? Well, it's because a lot of times when people get bored, it's like, hey, I'm no longer getting the high that I wanted. I'm no longer getting the excitement that I wanted at the level that I wanted. So I need to do something to be able to get that back. When we're talking about narcissists, a lot of times it's like, I don't have that high. And so I need to do something. So in a relationship, okay, now I'm bored of having a relationship with another person. Let me up the ante by having a secret, by having an affair in between. Okay, let me do something to be able to be like, okay, I lost sight of this connection and I'm too lazy to actually find it and actually work on it. So I need to do something else to be able to keep my mind active, to be able to move forward, whatever it might be. Okay, oftentimes boredom is a huge aspect that burns down marriages and relationships. Second one is the aspect of attention. Now, when we talk about narcissists, a lot of times we're saying like, hey, a narcissist wants a lot of attention. A lot of validation, a lot of back and forth, like give me all the attention, that kind of an aspect. And when we're talking through the aspect of attention, so many times a narcissist will be looking for attention, and as a result, they'll be talking to 20, 30, 40 different people. Like I've had countless people talk to me that they access their husband's phone or their wife's phone, and all of a sudden they realize like, whoa, it's not like they're talking to one person or cheating on with one person. It's like, no, there's like 50 people. That's a constant back and forth trying to get that validation, trying to get that attention. The problem is that's trying to sedate a lot of things, and if you're not able to work through that, like this, the narcissist can't work through where they're looking for that validation and why. It's like an addiction. It's never going to stop. This is the idea of like that attention piece keeps them from being bored. It keeps their mind like activated, keeps them fired off, keeps giving them that high or that validation piece. Well, which leads kind of to the third one, which is the aspect of trying to fill the void. You know, oftentimes you have like a drug addict that's looking for that very first high. Looking for that aspect that's going to make them happy, excited, making them like feel a certain way that they've wanted to feel. The hard part is oftentimes looking for that, it never happens. And typically you'll have a narcissist that's looking for something that they never are going to find. And oftentimes one of those things is joy. People are like, wait a second, what do they actually experience? Well, they might experience a slight happiness or a high, But a majority of the times, a narcissist, I don't think, can ever experience joy because they can't tap into the baseline of joy, which would be gratitude. So as a result, they're continuously looking for something that they're not able to latch onto because they can't take their eyes off of themselves and put it into someone else and into gratitude. So they're always getting temporary highs, temporary happiness, and not able to actually find true meaning and true joy. Fourth thing would be lies. Now, I mentioned this a little bit as we've gone through, but no grounding of truth in the relationship or in the marriage. The majority of relationships out there lie. Now, maybe they lie when they first get together of like putting their best foot forward, but they don't bring their full self to the table. Or they get to the place in the relationship where they're like, nah, I'd rather not tell the truth in this one area. And oftentimes it's small, and it starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But the core of it is a lot of times relationships are not built on a solid foundation of truth. So as a result, when people lie, the relationship falls apart and dies. This is what happens in narcissistic relationships because they're coming to the table with no baseline, no grounding of truth. Both parties need to be able to tell the truth if there's any hope of a relationship forming. Last but not least, when we're talking about cheating is going to happen with a narcissist, okay? Period. So with that, you need to understand, you need to prepare, and you need to plan. When you start acknowledging and seeing, wait, this person might be a narcissist, you might need to start thinking through, what are you willing to do? What are you willing to put up with? And where's your boundaries going to be? If you're dealing with a toxic person like this, I want you to reach out for help. We have a news resource that's just available to you now, claritychallenge.net, and that's the 45-day Clarity Challenge. It's a guided every single day login with accountability, with homework, with assignments to help you break free from that toxicity, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, to help rewire your thought process so that you get free and so you get healthy and so you develop a brand new you going into this next year.